Good morning. Good morning, Bougie Gang. How are you? Good morning. Happy Saturday, guys. Good morning. Did February go in like a blink of an eye? It's like, wait a second. February, where'd you go? Hello, March. Time is flying. Hi, gang stars. What's good? Okay, Bougie Gang, make sure to hit the thumbs up, tap in, double tap your screen, hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts, whatever you got to do. Guys, we have a lot of stuff to get caught up on. Just got caught up yesterday, so we're not going to even talk about it, but we got a lot to talk about. People out here running a complete mug, okay? Running a mug and don't give a, okay? And we're going to talk about it. Right on time. Okay. I'm still sipping on my first. Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing? I hope I have all my screens together. Just, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. So this happened, I think this happened on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. This literally happened in my neck of the woods. I was talking to a friend. Yeah, maybe this was Friday morning. Okay, I'm gonna just tell you guys really, really quick. Yesterday, I ended up having to get a new battery for my car. I thought everything was fine. When this happened, like 2-3 weeks ago. I go out to take Farrah to school yesterday morning, and baby, a problem. So car wouldn't start. And I think it was my battery again. Anyway, long story short, I called another mom, one of my the board, a friend. I called a friend, and she luckily was over at Dunkin' Donuts. She had just dropped her kid off, and I was like, I need you to come get Farrah. Plus, we were probably going to be like 5 minutes late. And then I was upset because she's had perfect attendance all year. But when I went in the office, they're like, it's okay. Don't worry. Like, it's not, that doesn't even count. Like, she's not even late enough to really be late. And she's never missed a day. Right. So, not ever, but this year she's had perfect attendance. Anyway, they were like, no, you're good. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I got caught up in so yeah. But anyway, my husband came home last night and got the car all straightened out. Now we're good. Okay. Very much better. So yeah, I got caught up yesterday. And then, once you get off track, you're just off track. So that's what happened. Good morning to Facebook, Instagram. That's where we're at today. I used to broadcast on X, but now you have to have a certain membership with X, and we're not, I just dropped the link. Anywho, good morning, guys. Yeah, these cold mornings, plus I have a little older car and my battery was, I don't know, it was of age and it needed to be replaced. So it's fine. Everything else is fine. My car is amazing and I love it and we love her. And girl, we're good. Hope and if the thoughts have been running through my mind. If she starts to become unreliable, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to put anything out there, but she knows the deal. Okay. She knows what's, she'll be where the rest of them went. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay. We still love her though. Okay. You missed me yesterday. I missed y'all too. And last night I was like feeling like I was gonna do something, but I was like mentally like, girl, it's okay. Okay, especially because the room I'm in backs is, well, she's not in the garage, but she's not too far. She's like 20 feet away from me. So I'm actually on the other wall from the garage, actually. So she's parked right outside the garage. So yes, she can hear me. Remember Kit? Remember Knight Rider and Kit? Kit could hear everything. Okay. All right. Knight Rider would be like, Kit, let's go. All right, let's get into it, guys. This first story happened really close to this happened in North Carolina. I'm gonna just say it like that. Ma'am It's definitely giving Boone vibes, but this is the weird thing. Sir said that he thinks that he said he'll swap spots for her. So there is a lady who, okay, let me read you this story real quick and then I'm going to put the news story. So a woman, this is the newest article. It says bogus charges, boyfriend of woman accused in storage unit lockup speaks out. So the boyfriend has now come. So there was a lady, she got mad at her boyfriend and she locked him in a storage unit, okay, for 4 days. No water, no food, like where you go, like when you moved out of your boyfriend's house and went back to your mom's and you put all your stuff in storage, one of those with the double lock. So the storage unit lock and your padlock. 4 days, okay? So let me go over here. Let's start here. Y'all, a mess. He's not dead, so let me just spoiler alert it. Sir is still in the land of the living, but it's a strange story. And then of course I had to go over to Facebook because Facebook, you get all the tea. That's where you get the neighborhood crime street tea, because all the friends, neighbors, and family are talking about what happened and they're attaching the news story and talking shit. So girl, me and Facebook got something going on right now because Facebook is funny to me. Okay. There was a 911 call and everything. I'm just reading the comments. You guys are so funny. Okay. News story streets. Okay. Okay, let's get oh.
Yesterday on WBTV News at 6, a man in Monroe rescued from a storage unit where he'd been trapped.
Where'd I tell you that Lambo came from? Didn't I tell you he was from Monroe, Union County?
For 4 days. And our Jason Puckett just got a hold of the 911 call the victim made from inside the store where he'd been trapped for 4 days. BTV News at 6, a man in Monroe rescued from a storage unit where he'd been trapped for 4 days. And our Jason Puckett just got a hold of the 911 call the victim made from inside the storage unit.
He's also been talking with police who say they've never dealt with a case quite like this one.
Well, between that new 911 call and talking with the owner of this business and police, we're now able to answer more of the questions about how this happened and give you more details about why police are now saying that this could have turned deadly.
911, where's your emergency?
I've been locked in the storage unit for about a week now, and I just now found my phone.
And what was
It's not funny, but I've been locked in the storage unit for about a week now.
a first for many people. Monroe police got a 911 call Monday that helped.
I'll tell you in a minute, hon.
Storage off Old Charlotte Highway.
Do you need EMS to come and check you out as well?
I just need out of here. I just can't breathe. I haven't had nothing to drink or anything. I know there's 2 locks on this unit. She put another lock on it for some reason.
This is bizarre. In 15 years, I've not seen anybody who has been locked in a storage unit.
Monroe Police Lieutenant Morgan Malone said officers arrived, forced their way into the unit.
Can I just say Officer Morgan Malone with the bun and the cute bow earrings is giving. I'm an officer, but I'm very much giving girl power and I'm in my feminine energy. Don't get it twisted. I love I love that for her.
I know there's 2 locks on this unit. She put another lock on it for some reason.
This is bizarre. In 15 years.
Well, to your point, if it was summer last week when he got locked in, it was still cold. So it was 22 degrees a couple of days that he was locked in the thing. So the fact that it wasn't summer, absolutely, because we've seen that happen before. But as far as it being winter, still winter here, it was cold. It was like 22 degrees in the morning. So he spent 4 days. He went during the day, overnight. That can be problematic too.
I've not seen anybody who has been locked in a storage unit.
Monroe Police Lieutenant Morgan Malone said officers arrived, forced their way into the unit and rescued the man almost 4 days after he was locked inside.
He was dehydrated. He did go to the hospital. He was released But yeah, fortunately, we were not in the heat of the summer because this would be an entirely different story.
He would have been cooked. He would have been cooked like he was in a air fryer.
So how does this happen? Well, Lieutenant Malone says they believe the victim and his girlfriend were having an argument, and the girlfriend asked the man to get something from the very back of the unit.
So he had to climb over some things to get to whatever it was she asked him to get. And when he did that, she took the opportunity to lock him in there.
It took him nearly 4 days to call police. How did that happen? Well, police say in the pitch black, his phone fell out of his pocket and the unit was packed full.
The storage unit was described to me as being a hoarder's paradise. As soon as the officers opened up the door, things started falling out.
Police have now issued arrest warrants for the girlfriend, Robin Deaton, charging her with attempted kidnapping and attempted murder.
I do think it's an important reminder that men are also victims of domestic violence.
Okay.
Now, I also spoke with the owner of this business earlier today. He told us that he was shocked to find out this had happened, that they actually walk the location every day and check the building, that they didn't hear any sounds or see anything on security camera. They are working with police. Police also asking folks in the community who might know Robin Deaton to reach out and give them any information they might have. For now, here in Monroe, Jason Puckett.
If you know Robin Deaton, holla at us. Okay, so fast forward, she did get arrested. Because I actually, when I looked this up the other day, she had just been arrested. So they had picked her up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. They had just gotten her uptown, which is what we call her downtown Charlotte. They call it uptown. She had just gotten uptown and was processed at like 5 something. So because where she lived, she was processed in Mecklenburg County, and then she was picked up by Union County. Union County is where she lives. Union County is where the charges are. That's where the storage unit situation occurred. And they're probably like, when I looked on the map, it was like 20 minutes from door to door. It was a 20-minute situation. So she not only locked him in a storage unit, double locked him, but she double locked him in a storage unit 20 minutes away from where she lives. And he was legit in there. It's not even like he was in there for a few hours. He was in there for a few days. So let me see. I think they actually interviewed him. Let me just pull this up. They did interview him, but let me see if they actually have video. Let's see. He's saying it's bogus charges. I don't know how he's saying it's bogus charges. If I'm reading this correctly, he's saying that he would take her place. He said she's got 2 kids. I don't know what was going on with these two, but damn it. Okay, 1 second. Let me get this big. Okay, I can't see y'all right now, but let's listen.
Murder. Police say she locked a man in a storage unit for days.
Okay, is this going to hiccup on me? Okay.
Yes, my girlfriend locked me in here. She double locked my lock, and I don't know how she put me in here, but she put me in here, and I just now found my phone.
Well, the man said he was eventually able to call police, as you heard, to get help.
As his girlfriend is facing serious charges, he is now telling Channel 9's Eli Brand that all of this was a mistake.
He did an interview, y'all.
She did not lure me into the back of a unit for nothing. I mean, all this is just a bunch of bullcrap.
Claims from this man, Gary Oxendine, that were made just hours after Robin Deaton, the woman accused by Monroe police of locking him in a storage unit to try and kill him, was arrested.
They need to get their stuff right. I mean, it's a bunch of bogus charges. I mean, she shouldn't be up there charged with, attempted murder, attempted kidnapping.
Oxendine says the course of events did start the way police claim. He says both he and Deaton were at the Cooper storage unit on Old Charlotte Road in Monroe. He says at some point, Deaton left to get the couple something to eat. Oxendine says while
she left to get something to eat, but locked you
in the unit. He says when Deaton came back, she yelled for him, but he didn't hear her. And that is when she locked the unit, assuming he had left. I asked Oxendine.
I don't believe that. For 4 days?
She didn't come back for him later.
Just explain why she didn't come back, or why you, after she closed it. So she closed it, and then after
She
that,
closed it because she thought I had gone with an ex-girlfriend. That's what it all boils down to, and I hadn't. And she said she came the next day, but I sleep hard, and I fell asleep. I had been up working for a couple of days.
Oxendine says he got out of the unit days later after he called 911 to tell them he was stuck.
My girlfriend locked me in here. She double locked my lock, and I don't know how she put me in here, but she put me in here.
He says he called 911 instead of Deaton because he had no service in the unit and that the only call he could get to go through was to emergency services. In the report from Monroe Police, they claim things went differently. They say Oxendine told them Deaton shut the door on him and said, "This is what you get." Oxendine says that's false. We reached back out to Monroe Police for an updated statement after Oxendine went there to try and get Deaton released Thursday morning. The Monroe Police Department said, quote, "Detectives have followed the facts of the case with corroborating evidence to support charging Deaton with kidnapping and attempted murder. The charges have been filed and the case has been turned over to the Union County District Attorney's Office." Oxendine says he's sticking to his story.
Rather, if they want to trade her for me, I'll go in there and sit, if that's possible. I mean, just whatever. She needs to get out. She's got 2 kids. I mean, it's just a bunch of bullcrap.
Reporting in Monroe, I'm Eli Brand, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, Deaton remains in the Mecklenburg County Detention Center on a $40,000 secured bond.
I thought she was out, quite frankly. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, I thought she was actually out. Okay, because when I looked her up, it does say she's got a secured bond. So I don't know. Amended bond setting set by clerk, $40,000 secure bond, property by defendant, secured bond, cash or accommodation. So she has a bond, but it looks like they secured a. Maybe at the time of this report, it hadn't been secured yet because there is a fiduciary listed who is a bail bondsman, and it's listing a surety bond backed by the United States Fire Insurance Company. I want to be careful showing this because this has personal information. But it says bond posted at 12:41 p.m. I mean, that's what it's saying. It's saying bond posted. So it's fiduciary. This guy is a bail bondsman. I looked up, and that's where the bond came from. And she was processed in Charlotte. She was moved to Union County. Union County came and picked her up and all of the things. So she was charged with attempted murder and kidnapping. They might feel a way. I mean, if that's her boo thing and that's how they do. I mean, at the end of the day, 2-3 days, you don't think you're going to just go back a day? Okay, he never came home. Babe, where are you? Go back to like the last place you saw him just to make sure. It was 4 days. Okay. All right. Wait, let me let's see. Okay. So he's sitting up there doing an interview saying that it's bogus. So Deaton was booked. She was booked in Mecklenburg County Jail at 1 a.m. Thursday on attempted murder and kidnapping charges. Records say she was held on a $40,000 bond, and his girlfriend faces serious charges. There's Gary. Gary is standing for his lady and says she's got kids. You don't charge. That just might be how they do. Now on Facebook, baby, the people, we already saw her mugshot, right? We saw her mugshot. You guys are seeing that, right? Just a second. Let me put you guys back over here for a sec. Okay. Let me scroll y'all back on. There's Gary. There's Robin. It is, and so like they said, like the police officer said, there are men who are victims of of domestic violence too. So that is definitely real. And we saw that in Florida with George. And, you know, he also might be embarrassed because this is a small town, Monroe. And he might be very much embarrassed that that this happened to him, and people are talking about it, and they're tagging it with domestic violence. Initially, they didn't even mention his name, and then now his name is out, and he's saying that it was a mistake, and he thought she went off with another, that she thought he went off with another lady. So obviously there's some definite parallels in other cases that we've seen, but obviously jealousy is a powerful drug, and jealousy can make you do some awful things, and it's quite possible. Now, I did see someone on here saying in India, okay, let me see. I saw somebody basically wrote something basically stating like it was their opinion, but their opinion included something about some meth. Okay. Now, I don't know that that's, like I said, it was someone giving their opinion, and I can't really say, I mean, there's a lot talking about this on Facebook right now. Let me see if I can find it. Girl, there is a whole blog called Scallywags, and was it on Scallywags? Basically, they're saying that this could be some sort of, because who is asleep for 4 days? Maybe, I don't know. Like, why were you at the storage unit? If y'all were on some things and you're looking for some things, girl, scallywag and vagabond. Okay. Gary Oxendine, North Carolina man denies his girlfriend Robin was trying to kill him when she locked him in a storage facility for 4 days with no water or food. I mean, crazy, right? I think it's a opportunity to check cell phones and see what they had going on. Was it a tumultuous relationship? If they are not going to be cooperative, it's going to be hard to prosecute her. But the evidence is what the evidence is, and now it's also become, it's a case that people are going to start talking about, because there are some parallels, and it's not uncommon for victims in general of domestic abuse to want to kind of make it go away. They love the person that they're with, and they want to, kind of cover up the truth. And I cannot find the comment that I saw, but basically there were some accusations, and this person alleges that something about some druggas, okay, some narcotica, okay. Somebody says it would be in Monroe, okay? It would be in Monroe, okay? Robin Deaton of Matthews. Is this the whole call? Let's see. I mean, he said what he...
And where's your emergency?
I've been locked in a storage unit, and I just now found my phone on this side of this storage unit.
Wait, do you need EMS to come and check you out as well?
I just need out of here. I just can't breathe. I haven't had nothing to drink or anything.
Somebody would just play the whole damn call. North Carolina has been accused of arrested, facing attempted murder and kidnapping. She sure is. I mean, he can say all he wants that that's not what happened, but when the EMS and the fire department and the police came to rescue you, and you needed intervention, probably some electrolytes and things like that, and they have to bust open these people's unit, and you're going to say that you're not a victim, I think they're going to probably still pursue the charges. I don't know. I guess if he is if he's not cooperative, it's just going to be hard for them to pursue the charges. But I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. A woman locked. Yeah. It's interesting. We'll have to keep our eye on it. I wish I could find who works for a couple of days and falls asleep so hard in a storage unit they can't hear someone calling their name, can't hear the loud door close, and sleeps for days. either Sleeping Beauty or Rip Van Winkle or someone on meth that crashes. And now he wants his boo thing back so he can keep on. Put them both in jail. That's what April said. Girl, I was like, okay, April, tell us what you really think. Okay. A mess, right? Okay. All right. Now let's go over here because I have a very important update for you guys. Guys, we're back in Wayne County Court. And I have a special treat for you guys next week. I'm not going to tell you, but I have some information. I just need to I need to handle some business with that, okay? But guess who made it back to Detroit from Georgia? Girl, Brandee Pierce. We know who Brandee Pierce is, right? Brandee is also wanted in Detroit, not anymore, because she is in the care and custody of Wayne County. She is accused of murder of her 9-year-old son. She was arrested in Georgia. Her 3-year-old was in a locked vehicle with no clothes on, and she was at the plasma donation place, and living out of a rental car that was due back weeks ago, never returning it. And ma'am got arrested because for child neglect. And then they took the child, and then later she was arrested again in she was arrested in DeKalb. Oh, and then she was arrested in Cobb County for a stolen car because the car was on the stolen vehicle list. It was supposed to be back in Naperville, or she had rented it in Illinois and drove it down to Georgia and had it for months. So, girl, somebody got it though, Jay Blake. So anybody who maybe had some plasma recently, it could have been Brandee Pierce. So, okay. Anyway, so she in the time, and you're going to hear this. So this prosecutor down at the bottom of the screen, you're going to recognize her because guess what? She was one of the prosecutors that did the preliminary exam with her partner on the Jarvis Butt situation. Okay. So we're going to hear from her in just a moment. Tina Wrigley, right? And they've got her back in Wayne County. She still has, I guess, charges in Georgia, but because this is a more serious case, murder, they released her from Georgia back to Michigan. But you know, the gag is, even if she, you know, she's not going to be out, but at the end of the day, if she were, there's holds on her in Georgia in 2 counties on multiple charges, okay, between stolen vehicles. She has stolen vehicle in Illinois. So the stolen vehicle was a warrant out of Illinois. She was found with some sort of scheduled or some sort of narcotica. Okay. And she also had child endangerment in DeKalb. Okay. So two in Georgia, 3 charges in Georgia, charges in Illinois, and a murder case in Michigan. So ma'am is going to be busy for a very long time. Okay, let's hear what happened when she got back to Detroit. If you're not familiar with this case, I do have a Brandee Pierce playlist, and we'll give you the background from Detroit and the information about what happened in Georgia, the 2 separate cases. We read the police warrants, the police affidavits, and let me hope I'm in the right spot. I'm going to just warn you, the sound is horrible. Okay. The judge needed to mute some background somewhere. It was possibly the jail where Brandee was sitting, because sometimes, you know, you see Brandee, she's not even talking, but her green light is on in the Zoom, which means there's audio coming. And why the judge did not mute her screen, I don't know. I can't tell you. Okay. Oh, Brandee Pierce.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
But this is Brandee Pierce. Like I said, Brandee is being booked on multiple she's got some very serious charges. And you're gonna hear Tina Ripley just get to it. And get into it.
The court is calling case number 25-055-674.
We'll listen to it all the way through and then we'll run it back one time and kind of talk about it.
Case number 25-055-67401. The people of the state of Michigan versus Brandee Catrice Pierce. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Ride Murad, P83665 on behalf of Ms. Brandee Pierce. We waive the formal reading. Ms. Pierce stands mute. She's been advised of her rights.
Okay, good morning to you both. The court will enter a not guilty plea on behalf of Ms. Pierce. Ms. Ripley, your bond recommendation.
Yes, Judge. People are asking for a remand in this case. The facts in this case are nothing short of egregious. Zamar King was a 9-year-old child who was treated like he was a piece of garbage. He deserved better, and we believe the evidence will show that back in April of 2024, the defendant and her 2 children went to a hospital for help. CPS got involved. Zamar told CPS that his mother chokes him and wants to kill him. Fast forwarding to October of 2024, the defendant and her 2 children are living in Detroit on Woodingham. The defendant orders a shovel and a wagon from Walmart. She digs a hole in her backyard behind her garage. Later in October, I believe October 24th, Zamar wakes up early as would be usual for him. We believe that the evidence will show that the defendant smothered and suffocated Zamar, and that the defendant heard his last gasping breath and decided to walk away. That when the defendant came back to Zamar, he was blue. And instead of helping him, she decided to bind his arms and legs, put him in a wagon, and take him out to the hole that she had in her backyard and bury him. The callousness with which the defendant treated Zamar cannot be understated. The defendant is an absolute danger to the community and a flight risk. After the killing, the defendant took herself and her other son to Illinois, Wisconsin, and then down to Georgia, where they had been residing. The defendant was subsequently arrested 2 times in Georgia for crimes involving her other son and drugs. We had to write her back on this warrant. So people believe it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Your response, Mr. Murad?
So on behalf of Ms. Pierce, I can tell you that she's 46 years old. She's not employed at this time, Your Honor. She has absolutely no income. She does suffer from disorders that I'm not aware if she's received her medication for. I can tell you that in talking to her, we understand that she's received a master's degree as well. Ultimately, Your Honor,
Let me interrupt real quick. 46. She's got a master's from where and what, I don't know, but mental illness is real. It's, and very rarely is going to get you out of a murder case. The noise is very distracting. So no need to type it into the chat. We're aware, everyone's aware. At the end of the day, just put your listening ears in so you don't miss any details, because it's just a distraction. But the information is clear. Okay, so we'll have to muddle through. But ma'am is so the prosecutors requested a remand, which in Michigan, just like when they said Karen Huger was remanded into the custody, they're taking custody of you. Okay, so they're requesting a remand, and when they say a remand, that means no bond. Okay, and so let's let this play through. And but you guys, you know what we'll do? We'll go back to Kim Worthy, who was the prosecutor, and when she tells the story of when they put the charges on her, and we'll go to that press conference and replay that one more time. So rather than to go through this, But this is her public defender, so let me let him finish. When he's finished, we'll go to the press conference. It's not too long. And then and then I posted the playlist. I posted the playlist of the couple videos that I've already done because this woman is awful. She's awful. And her other son, the 3-year-old, he was on the way. He was on the way to the same fate, I believe, as her elder son. Okay. Because it was giving the same thing. I think she becomes weary. She's tired. She's got mental illness. She doesn't know how to cope. And this is someone who has resorted and not, like, we'll probably have to, we'll dedicate a day. We'll talk about her in full one day. We'll just put it all together and keep up. But at the end of the day, she had to put some effort in. I'm sure the boy more than likely fought for his life. And for her to use that as a coping mechanism she thought that was going to be a solution to her problem. And then CPS was called. Why she didn't surrender them at that moment, I don't know. Like, if you're not able to handle the responsibilities of being a mom, why not just surrender the kids over? Okay. Anywho, let's finish this up. We'll watch that press conference so you can get some more detail direct from the Wayne County prosecutors. But if you're just now coming in, maybe I'll just run it back a little bit and then we'll just let the rest of it play all the way through. Let's go. Let's hear Tina Ripley.
Yes, Judge. People are asking for a remand in this case.
Hey, Miss Ripley.
That she's in with now has already been interviewed.
UDC, I need you to stay. Ms. Pierce, I need you to calling case number 25-055-67401. The people of the state of Michigan versus Brandee Catrice Pierce. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Ride Marad, P83665 on behalf of Ms. Brandee Pierce. We waive the formal reading. Ms. Pierce stands mute. She's been advised of her rights.
Okay, good morning to you both. The court will enter a not guilty plea on behalf of Ms. Pierce. Ms. Ripley, your bond recommendation.
Yes, Judge. People are asking for a remand in this case. The facts in this case are nothing short of egregious. Zamar King was a 9-year-old child who was treated like he was a piece of garbage. He deserved better, and we believe the evidence will show that back in April of 2024, the defendant and her 2 children went to a hospital for help. CPS got involved. Zamar told CPS that his mother chokes him and wants to kill him. Fast forwarding to October of 2024, the defendant and her 2 children are living in Detroit on Woodingham. The defendant orders a shovel and a wagon from Walmart. She digs a hole in her backyard behind her garage. Later in October, I believe October 24th, Zamar wakes up early as would be usual for him. We believe that the evidence will show that the defendant smothered and suffocated Zamar, and that the defendant heard his last gasping breath and decided to walk away. That when the defendant came back to Zamar, he was blue. And instead of helping him, she decided to bind his arms and legs, put him in a wagon, and take him out to the hole that she had in her backyard and bury him. The callousness with which the defendant treated Zamar cannot be understated. The defendant is an absolute danger to the community and a flight risk. After the killing, the defendant took herself and her other son to Illinois, Wisconsin, and then down to Georgia, where they had been residing. The defendant was subsequently arrested 2 times in Georgia for crimes involving her other son and drugs. We had her back on this warrant. So people believe it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Your response, Mr.
Judge,
Arad?
so on behalf of Ms. Pierce, I can tell you that she's 46 years old. She's not employed at this time, Your Honor. She has absolutely no income. She does suffer from disorders that I'm not aware if she's received her medication for. I can tell you that in talking to her, we understand that she's received a master's degree as well. Ultimately, Your Honor, I think we lost Ms. Ripley, so there we go. So ultimately, Your Honor, when it comes to bond, I think it's important to know that it's easy to, read off a police report and read the most egregious allegations and then confine somebody to jail. What I'm asking the court to do here is to use the least restrictive means possible and confine her to a homeless shelter. She would ultimately, any concerns that the prosecutor or the court would have would be addressed with a home confinement GPS tether to a homeless shelter. She is homeless, Your Honor. I don't think it's appropriate for me to even argue the facts in this case at this stage. But when it comes to ties to the community or flight risk, I hear what the prosecutor is saying that she wasn't found in another state. I still think a tether addresses that. So my ultimate request, Your Honor, is to release her on a reasonable bond, confining her to a homeless shelter.
Okay, thank you. After listening to the arguments of the parties, the court has had an opportunity to review the investigator's report and take into consideration the background information that has been presented by defense counsel. The court certainly is concerned. Not only is Ms. Pierce a danger to the community, but also a flight risk. After these egregious acts or allegations, she left the state, was in Illinois, Wisconsin, and then found in Georgia. So a flight risk, that's pretty much clear. As it relates to being a danger, as Ms. Ripley indicated, the facts are just egregious in terms of how this child was found, the condition, being tied, body having been decomposed, the prior information that was submitted in terms of the contact with Child Protective Services. And based upon that information, she definitely poses a threat to the community. So the court believes that based upon the information, finds through clear and convincing evidence that she is a danger. Also, that based upon the information that has been set forth in the investigator's report, it appears that the presumption of guilt is high, and the court is going to remand this matter pursuant to MRE 6.106B1I. So Ms. Pierce, we're just going to set a remand in this case. Is there anything else from the people?
No, Judge. Just looking for dates.
I'm going to give the court dates in a moment. Anything else from you, Mr. Moreau?
Further at this time, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Then we have two dates, Ms. Pierce. You have a probable cause conference that's scheduled for March the 7th at 8:30. That will be by Zoom. You also have the right to a preliminary examination, which is scheduled for March the 13th at 1:45 p.m. Now that matter will be conducted in person. Both of those matters are scheduled before Judge Jakay in the 36th District Court. So if there's nothing further, then this concludes this matter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you both. Okay. Right. Good afternoon, Ms. Pierce.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna say one thing first. Okay, we just need to get back to 2020 Zoom etiquette. Just mute all the mics. You know what I mean? If someone's not talking, then just mute everything. You know what I mean? Because Zoom people have gotten back relaxed again with having their mics open. And obviously the prisoners have no control over it. But since the prisoners are most likely standing mute anyway, if someone needs to say something, then they can be allowed to have their mic turned back on. But what is the point of having the mic on in the holding tanks when it's loud and it disturbs the Zoom? So I just want to be on the record by stating that, can we get back to the mute button on Zooms again, please? Because we couldn't, it was hard to hear, right? Let me go over here in case you guys have forgotten, but we showed this gosh, almost a month ago. Okay. Almost a month ago, we went through this, but like I said, I just pinned up top the playlist. I've done 2 videos on this, pretty detailed. So if you missed this, get into it. She was supposed to see Judge Sabri, which is, Judge Aaliyah Sabri, who, baby, we already know how that one's going to turn out. This other Judge Decay or DK, I'm not familiar, and hopefully I'm pronouncing the name right. If I'm not, forgive me. Anywho, let's hear directly from the prosecutor what the allegations are. This is coming direct from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and this was on February 5th. We've seen this before, but let's see it one more time because Brandee finally made it to Michigan. She couldn't help herself but be caught out there in DeKalb and Cobb County, Georgia. Also, she racked up charges in Illinois. And the fact that her public defender had the nerve, which I thought was pretty, look, he had to do his job, right? He had to do his job, and we get it. But at the end of the day, suggesting that she has no means, she was doing DoorDash. She basically rented a car, so she had some sort of means to be able to rent a car from Illinois. She took that car from Illinois, I guess, to Wisconsin. Then she makes it down to Georgia. All the time she is DoorDashing for cash, okay? And going to plasma clinics to donate blood, where you get money from that too. So even though she doesn't have means, if all you have to do is read the police reports to know that she made a way out of no way. She stole a car. She got, cash from doing gig work and donating blood to be able to buy food, buy gas, and at least be functionally homeless. If there's such a thing, because she had shelter, which was the car, and she was in a more temperate area of the country, even though we had a very cold February.
I have stood at this podium many, many times and talked about how horrific, tragic, and shocking certain cases are. Each time thinking there are some future alleged facts that could be worse than what I'm talking about at the time. Knowing all the while, though, that there's always a worse set of facts on the horizon. Well, that day has come again. So I want to talk about a case of a young boy named Zamar King III. The alleged facts in this case are that we are announcing today. On January 6th of 2025, the Detroit Police Department was notified and summoned to a house on Whittingham in Detroit. They've been contacted by the landlord that owned that house. When he went to that house, the landlord contacted him when he went to that house to prepare it for a new tenant. That he called the police because he found a shallow grave in the backyard of the home on Whittingham. Upon arrival, the police were shown that grave where a human foot was sticking out of the ground. The foot was believed to belonged to a small child. After an extensive investigation by quite a few agencies, and the chief will talk about that in a minute, the buried body was discovered to be 9-year-old Zamar King III. That the mother of young Zamar was 41-year-old Brandee Pierce. It's alleged that she killed him, and that the cause of death found by the medical examiner was smothering and neck compression. So I want to just further go ahead and tell you what other facts about this case. It's alleged that she purchased a shovel. She bound him by tying his hands and feet together and dug a hole in the background of the house on Whittingham where she had been living for a short time. She then put him in this hole and covered him with dirt. That after killing her son, she and her other son, who was 3 years old, moved to Georgia, Cobb County to be exact. It was determined that this in fact happened sometime in October of 2024. That Zamar's mother, Brandee Pierce, is currently in Cobb County, Georgia, and we will be requesting her to be extradited back to Michigan. We are charging Brandee Catrice Pierce today with 1 count of murder in the first degree premeditation, which carries a life without parole sentence, mandatory. Count 2 is homicide felony murder. Again, the mandatory penalty is life in prison without the possibility of parole. Our 3rd count is child abuse in the first degree, life or any term of years in prison. The first degree child abuse is the felony to make out the felony murder we are alleging. Count 4 is tampering with evidence, criminal case punishable by more than 10 years in prison. And the 5th one is interfering with, concealing and interfering with the death of the individual, 5 years, of course, that being 9-year-old Zamar King. As always, this defendant is presumed innocent unless or until proven guilty. I should tell you that Judge Aaliyah Sabri of the 36th District Court authorized these charges yesterday. And since we will be requesting extradition, we will notify you all when in fact she is back in the state of Michigan. So of course, there is no next day for court. Again, let me just repeat, these charges and allegations are quite serious. They're deadly, they're shocking, every platitude that you can think of. But again, Ms. Pierce is still presumed to be innocent unless or until proven guilty. So I'm gonna have the chief say a couple words to you and then we'll answer some questions for you if we can.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. As Madam Prosecutor said, this case is rather shocking. In my 27-year career, I don't remember seeing anything like this, but I just want to thank, of course, Madam Prosecutor. I want to thank our law enforcement partners and everyone who helped out with this. The FBI was instrumental. Michigan State Police was instrumental in helping out as well, along with Cobb County and DeKalb County in the state of Georgia, their district attorney's office. And I just really want to express how proud I am of the hardworking men and women of the Detroit Police Department who helped bring this case to where it is today with these charges. I want to thank, of course, of our Major Crimes Division, the Commander Rebecca McKay, Captain Marcus Thurkill, Sergeant Ashley Peterson, Detective Kelly Lucy, who is here with us, Detective Lisa Johnson, and then the officer who is leading the case, Officer Isaac Yamas, and the members of the Western Squad. The Detroit Police Department works relentlessly on behalf of victims, and we are confident that there will be accountability for this. And as Madam Prosecutor said, of course, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Thank you much.
It seems to all of us who do this work on a daily basis that there's been just a large number of tragic cases that have happened to our children, worse than we have seen. So it's our hope that we don't continue to see these, but I know that's probably false hope that I'm having. Before we go any further, I want to introduce Tina Ripley, who has worked together on this case very hard. She will be trying this case.
So Tina, well, you know Tina's name.
Louisa Papoulis is to her right and your left. She is the Deputy Chief of the Special Victims Unit. Kelly Gleason is to my immediate left, and she is the Chief of the Special Victims Unit. And again, if the Chief would introduce these people that are standing here, that would be helpful.
Okay, Sergeant, I'm sorry, Detective Lisa Johnson is right here.
Remember Lisa Johnson? She testified in the Jarvis Butts preliminary hearing. So there's a lot of, obviously the more cases there are that hit kind of national attention, I'm sure to local people. You may know these prosecutors just following your local news, but I, probably in the last 6 months, I've been, obviously following some cases in this area. So now certain people are becoming more and more familiar because these are the people who are law enforcement, the prosecutors, all of those things. But yeah, they're not going to show her face, but remember Lisa Johnson, she was one of the detectives on the case.
Also, officer in charge of the case, Isaac Yamas, Kelly Lucy, detective, Ashley Peterson, Marcus Thurkill. Marcus is
okay. Let's pivot off of here real quick. So I want to talk about, we got a lot to talk about. Okay. I want to talk about these guys right here. Okay. I'm sure you guys have had to have seen her recently. This is Andre Walker and Kimberly Mills. This is the first thing I want to say about Kimberly. When I heard she was a nurse, I was like, no. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to put a title to it, but some people call themselves nurses. They're not nurses, right? We hear that all the time because they work in the realm. This woman is legit a nurse. I actually looked up her license. I went to the Florida Board of Nursing. It's public information. And she is a registered nurse. Okay. Registered nurse. And I was shocked. Okay. Because when you hear about what she did, there is nowhere in God's green earth. And, you know, again, mental illness, I need to say that's my footnote. Mental illness is real. It's not going to get her out of consequences, but it is just kind of like, wow, are we seeing like a reoccurring theme? I mean, Brandee Pierce said had a master's degree. So these are women who are educated. These women have professions. Brandee Pierce, I don't know what her profession was. You know, there's sometimes people who are career students. They're very smart, but they're battling. So I don't know what her career was, but this is a woman who is educated, Brandee Pierce. This is a woman who is a registered nurse, and she found herself in a abusive relationship with this man. And I'm not saying it's all his fault because obviously she opened the door. Now, let's just get into it. This happened recently in Florida, okay? In Tavares, which is Lake County. This is the same county. She, in theory, is in jail. This woman, Kimberly Mills, Andre Walker. Kimberly is probably sitting in jail right now with Tyshal Martin. They're in the same jail. Okay. Just so you know, let's listen in when they first talked about this, and then we'll go to the subsequent press conference, and they're going to detail us what happened. Okay. All right. The sound on this one might not be amazing. Okay. This is the PIO. Let's see if she's. Thank you guys for being here today. All right. Give me just a second. Let me pivot to YouTube because the audio is much better. Let me pivot because these audio challenged, it's hard to get to the gist of the matter when we're struggling to hear. So let's go where we know that the audio is good. Did I not? Just a second, guys. Okay, is this? Okay, bear with me just a second. All right, let's watch this first so you guys can get the gist of what happened, and then we'll go over to the press conferences because I think one of these had a little glimpse of the first appearance. I spent a lot of time last night trying to find the first appearance and could not find it to save my life. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go to this one first. All right, this is a better vantage point. The sound is much better.
Is everyone ready? this past Saturday are deeply disturbing. Corsi, thank you all for being here this afternoon. This type of brutal crime shakes the community. The events that took place this past Saturday are deeply disturbing and heartbreaking. The pain and suffering an innocent child endured at the hands of those he trusted and loved the most. Before I turn the podium over to our PIO, Detective.
Real quick, hey to everybody coming in. Hey to everybody on Facebook. Thank you for checking in. If you're on IG, thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. Double tap your screen. I appreciate you guys coming through. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning to everybody on YouTube. Make sure to hit the thumbs up for me. It is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Detective Sullivan.
Right now, we're in the Kimberley Mills story. We've talked about Robin Deaton first. We talked about Brandee Pierce. Brandee has made it from, she was on the lam. She committed an egregious act. She's wanted for murder in Detroit. She took off. She went to Wisconsin, Illinois, and Georgia. She got arrested 2 times in Detroit, in Georgia. And by the second arrest, she was already a fugitive. And once they ran her, that's how they got back in contact with Michigan and said, "We got your girl." And then she just made it back. I checked and she was released on the 27th. And she made it back on yesterday to Michigan, and they quickly processed her, and that was the first appearance that we saw. And now we are into Kimberley Mills. Kimberley Mills is verified. I verified the information that they gave in this press conference with what's on the Florida Board of Nursing, and Kimberley Mills is legit a registered nurse, and she is in the shits with this guy named Andre Mills. And they brought in her oldest son to the emergency room, and let's listen to what happened.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask the community to find it in their heart to keep this child, his family, in their thoughts and prayers. Please keep our officers, the hospital staff, and the state attorneys in your hearts also. They're working tirelessly to see that justice is brought to this young child. Detective Sullivan.
Okay, excuse me, that's the stool. Hello, my name's Detective Sullivan. Thank you guys for being here today. So let's get into this. On February 22nd at 10 p.m., we received a phone call from Advent Health Hospital staff that they received a 10-year-old male patient that contained evidence of physical abuse. Additionally, they were performing active CPR on the child and administering life-saving measures. We learned that the child was brought in through the front door of the emergency department after arriving by vehicle with the child's mother, Kimberley Mills, and a male now identified as Andre Walker. Per hospital staff, Andre left the hospital immediately. Once Kimberley learned that law enforcement was on the way, she immediately left the hospital, all while her 10-year-old son was receiving CPR. And just so you guys are aware, this is Andre Walker. And this is Kimberley Mills. Shortly after our units arrived at the hospital, Kimberley Mills returned with her other child. Once we obtained Kimberly's information, we obtained her address, which is within our city limits. Detectives began working immediately on obtaining a search warrant for the house. Kimberly refused to cooperate with the law enforcement investigation. The 10-year-old child was eventually airlifted to a regional trauma center where hospital staff continued life-saving efforts. It is clear to our agency that this child underwent gruesome abuse. He is covered head to toe, He is covered head to toe in various size bruises that are in various stages of healing.
Let me just say something real quick. First of all, the police department asking for prayer. Okay. The police department asking for prayer for the children, for the police officers. Like please cover all parties involved. Like we are in need of prayer here. Like that was profound to me. And this person this is her job. As a law enforcement, her job is the information officer, and the fact that she is in tears, trying to hold back and keep it together. This must be absolutely as brutal as we think it is, right? Well, there was a case I mean, look, across the board, there's people of all professions that, you know what I mean? Like you would think that a nurse would not, but we've seen doctors, you know what I mean? We've seen a lot happen. There was a nurse who was suffering, I think, from some severe postpartum in Boston, and she took out 3 kids one by one. You know what I'm saying? And I think she was like I can't remember what type of nurse she was. Like, I want to say like she worked in the NICU or something. She actually she was like an advanced nurse, and she also 3 children, and she had just had a baby, and it was a mess. If I can find the story, I'll bring it to you guys one day this week. But this happened like maybe during the pandemic. I'm not sure if her case has been completely adjudicated or not. I just had to go verify. I was shocked. So I don't know if there's some substance abuse going on or it's mental illness or what. Could be a combination of a couple of things. But anyway, let's let them finish up.
Additionally, he is covered in burn marks. This child underwent further abuse that I am unable to discuss at this time. This 10-year-old little boy is fighting for his life. He is in critical condition, and we are unsure which direction his healing will go. There's a high possibility that
Right. There was a nurse who was actually taking out dialysis patients or something recently. And, you know, I mean, we've heard horror stories. So yeah, I don't want to be caught up on the fact that she's a nurse. I wanted to validate, because they say nurse, and I was just like, I just wanted to validate she was a nurse. And she's a registered nurse. You know, sometimes people say nurse and it's medical assistant. Sometimes people say nurse and it's CNA. Sometimes people say nurse and it's this. And granted, they are working in nursing. I just wanted to validate the title.
these charges could be enhanced depending on his outcome. Upon serving the search warrant at the residence, detectives obtained several pieces of pertinent evidence. This evidence told a story of what this child went through, and we believe will help piece together what occurred prior to them arriving at the hospital. To put it plainly, this child was tortured. I'm happy to say that shortly before this press conference, we learned Andre Walker turned himself into the Lake County Jail. Detectives in the community still have questions, and now that we know Andre Walker has turned himself in, detectives will be making contact with Andre Walker. We are hopeful that some of these questions will be answered. Detectives have put countless hours and continue to put all of their efforts towards this investigation. We want justice for this 10-year-old boy, and due to this being an open investigation, certain details cannot be released to or discussed to maintain integrity to this case. At this time, I'm willing to answer some questions.
Apparently, this does not seem to be a one-time thing.
Based off of the bruises that we found in various stages of healing, no, we don't believe this is a one-time thing.
Can you say how long you think the abuse has gone back?
It's hard to say, but that's something we hope to find answers to.
Was the other boy, did he have any signs, he or she have any signs of abuse?
That's something that hopefully today we'll have answers to that as well.
Has Andre been cooperative, or do you guys have had an opportunity to talk to him at all?
Due to him just recently turning himself in, we're hoping that we can get some of those, any questions that we have for him, that he'll be willing to answer that. So hopefully by the end of today.
If you could talk a little bit about anything you started speaking to, they have a boy who is being treated, how he's doing at this very moment.
At this very moment, he remains to be in critical condition. It's hard to say what direction he's going to go. He's fighting for his life.
Has the mother been cooperative at all? She had any statements you were able to share with us?
She did not wish to speak with us.
Is there any history with this family? Do you guys have a call history at that home, or is there a DCF history with this family?
So we checked with DCF. We did not see any recent or any contact with DCF reports or anything like that. We did do a call history at the residence. There was one recent call where mom called in with questions about the 10-year-old boy.
You didn't respond out there though?
No, it was a call that could be handled over the phone.
Was there any signs, was there any signs of sexual abuse of this 10-year-old boy?
Some details of the investigation I can't say, but I will have you read in between the lines.
The relationship between Kimberly and Andre, are they a couple? Are they related? What's their relationship?
Sure. So because she wasn't very forthcoming with her relationship with him or him at all, we're still trying to piece together his relationship to her.
Has there been any outside contact with other family in regards to the little boy that's being treated by any distant relatives?
So biological dad, he lives out of state. He was immediately notified and was immediately able to come down to be with his two sons.
Can you speak at all to what you may have seen inside the house upon the search warrant?
Enough that we are able to paint a certain picture that leads us to believe this little boy was tortured.
Was the boy in school outside the home?
Yes.
He was going
He
to-
attended school. Yes.
This may be kind of a piggyback, and you might not be able to answer
Mhm.
it, but talking about what you were able to take from the home is, and what has helped you piece together this investigation. I know we talked about firms. Is there anything that you can give us to give an indication of how he might have been burned?
Not without losing the integrity of the case.
If you could speak to the emotions, because I know I spoke to a neighbor, obviously very shocked. Us seeing the details, very shocking, and I see raw emotions during the press conference.
Ask your question one more time.
Your emotions.
My emotions. So I'm, excuse me, I'm a mother. A lot of us are parents at this agency. So to hear and, based off of what we've seen, obviously this is heartbreaking. As parents, we protect our children. We'll protect anyone's child. So to learn that this child was supposed to be protected and wasn't, obviously is devastating and gut-wrenching. So personally, it's difficult, as you saw. I tried to keep my cool, I'm sorry. So.
For the biological father, what was kind of his reaction? You said he was able to immediately come. What was his reaction, if you can speak to it at all?
If you were to imagine your child undergoing something like this and what your reaction would be, was his reaction. And a very reasonable reaction from a parent that loved their child.
Is he the father of the other child?
Yes, yes.
Was he married to Kimberly?
I don't know. Anyone else? Okay, thank you guys for being here.
So, guys, we watch a lot of stuff with all different walks of life, right? It is not uncommon to be with someone and they move out of state for a job or they live out of state. When they say out of state, Florida, the guy could be in Georgia for all we know. He could be in a neighboring state 2 hours away. He could be across the country. We don't know what out of state is out of state, but out of state could be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, not far, right? A car ride, a quick plane ride. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean sir is a bad guy. It also could mean divorce. It could mean we broke up. It could mean, a nurse who went to another state for, job opportunities. We don't really know what the situation was. So it sounds like the father is out of state. We don't know what what the situation was with the children. And we could also be dealing with a situation where mom could have been holding the kids somewhat hostage. You never know. I mean, these cases get to be very complicated and custody gets to be a problem sometimes when people break up. So, we don't really know. And this could be something that happened in like a flicker of time. Let's read this real quick since we're You know what? I feel like let's see this first and then we'll go to the police report.
A case of child abuse. Andre Walker had his first appearance before a judge this morning in Lake County. Investigators say the 36-year-old and the young boy's mother is 37-year-old Kimberley Mills dropped him off at the hospital, and when police were called, the two took off. As News 6's Mark Lehman reports, now both are in jail facing charges for child abuse.
Today, we're seeing activity from Tiberias police here at the home where they say the young victim was tortured for weeks. As that boy is now fighting for his life, we're also getting an update on the case from investigators.
We are being as thorough as we can. What happened to this child is obviously devastating.
Detective Courtney Sullivan was with a team gathering evidence today in connection to what she calls a case of abuse and torture involving a 10-year-old boy.
No child deserves what this child got. No child.
That child is in critical condition after investigators say the boy's mother, Kimberley Mills, and her boyfriend, Andre Walker, dropped him off at Advent Health Waterman Hospital Saturday night. According to police, the child was covered in severe bruises and burns. It sounds like what happened to this child was horrific.
It was horrific. Probably the worst thing that I have heard.
Just this morning, Walker was ordered to remain in jail on a charge of accessory to aggravated child abuse. Mills is also being held without bond after detectives say they found evidence of prolonged abuse inside the victim's home.
I will tell you this, more charges are coming. More charges are coming for both of them.
Sullivan says she's unsure if the boy will survive and charges will be upgraded if he passes away. Meanwhile, investigators are working to learn more about the child's injuries.
We are doing what we can to ensure this little boy gets the justice that he deserves.
I'm being told there's still a lot of possible evidence here in this home, and detectives are working to preserve as much as possible. As for the suspects in this case, both have arraignments set for next month. In Tiberias, Mark Lehman, getting results, News 6.
Okay.
At Launch Credit Union, our mission is to.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this real quick. Okay. Let's see. So on February 22nd, 22:05 hours, I received a call from Sergeant Dambro in reference to a blank-year-old patient that was brought into Advent Health Waterman Emergency Room located at 1100 Waterman Way in Tavares. The child was brought in by blank, identified as Kimberley Mills, and a male subject who was unidentified at the time. The child was identified as blank. The child, just a second. The child was experiencing cardiac arrest and was covered with bruises and burn marks. Hospital staff also advised that there were signs of sexual abuse to the anus of the child. Once Kimberley was aware that law enforcement was alerted, her and the male subject left the hospital and left the blank-year-old victim unattended with hospital staff. She returned shortly after and had an additional child with her, but the male subject was no longer with her. When road patrol units were made contact with her, she was read her Miranda rights, where she invoked and did not wish to speak with us on the events of how the child sustained such severe injuries. I arrived at the hospital where I met with Sergeant Dumbro. As we entered the hospital, the nurse Hillary Richardson, who made initial contact with the juvenile patient and blank, an unidentified male, approached us and handed a written statement on her accounts of the events. An unidentified male approached us and handed a written statement on her account of the events. In her statement, she advised at 21:26 hours, a black male entered the front door of the emergency department and stated, "We need help, hurry up." As Hillary and another tech exited the front door of the emergency department, they observed the black female performing CPR on the younger patient. When Hillary took over care of the patient, she noticed bruising. Hillary asked Kimberly what happened, and she stated, "I don't know," started vomiting, and then blank was like this. Hillary then took the child and rushed into the emergency department where she handed the child off to other staff to perform life-saving measures. Upon arrival, I made contact with blank in a privacy room located in the emergency department, and I confirmed that with her that she did not wish to speak to us and how the child ended up in the current condition, and she advised no. After clearing blank, I went to trauma 2, where blank was being treated. Upon entering the room, I was immediately able to observe the severe bruising to the child, along with multiple burn marks on the stomach and right inner arm area. The doctor attended to blank, advised blank had an arterial bleed in his abdomen area. Blank also had several bruises all over. I guess they're blocking out pronouns, whether it's a male or female, but I think we know it's 2 boys, I think. Blank body in various stages of healing. She also advised blank shows signs of sexual abuse due to blank anus being dilated. The staff advised they also worked on the patient to restore normal cardiac rhythm due to approximately 30 minutes due to blank coding. When viewing the burn marks, they appeared to be long in shape, as if something hot were placed on blank's skin to cause a burn mark. There were also 3 parallel straight burn marks on the right bicep. Blank also had obvious bruising to blank facial area. The doctor advised blank was in critical condition and they were not sure if blank was going to survive. Blank was airlifted to Advent Health Waterman to the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, where blank is currently undergoing life-saving surgeries and is still listed in critical condition. While on the scene, DCFS arrived where they spoke with Kimberly for an extensive time in privacy. DCF revealed after the interview that Kimberly admitted to failing blank, and she claimed responsibility for blank injuries. She refused to disclose exactly how the injuries happened to blank. She also advised the name of the male that accompanied her to the hospital was blank. So she did, I mean, she may not have talked to the police directly, but she did eventually talk to DCF and she gave them some information. This is Andre. There's really nothing to his police report other than above subject served the following Lake County warrant. Accessory after the fact, aggravated child abuse, no bond. That's it. That's Andre's. There's no narrative. There are a few things that are posted to his profile, but basically, I'm gonna show you. There are some things posted to his profile, but you can't really see. So this is possibly where we would have a narrative and you can't click on it. No access. The bench warrant. So the bench warrant would give us some detail, nothing. Maybe when they post the indictment, but they're not indicted yet. Because this is all very new. Like reading that just took my breath away. I'm not even gonna lie. For a second I just felt like I had trouble breathing. So it's staggering. This is Kimberly's profile. If you see Kimberly Leone Mills, and that is the name, same date of birth on her nursing license. If you scroll back, you can see that. There are some, I just read to you the arrest affidavit. Some of this is just random paper. It's not really going to tell you anything. So her indigent status for her public defender and all those things. So let me go back over here. Give me just a second. And they did do an update yesterday. If you hadn't heard about some of these stories, let me know. Make sure to tap in. Double tap your screen, hit the thumbs up, hit the heart. These are stories that you want to continue to follow and have me continue to update you on what's going on. Obviously, the health and well-being of the children. I know you guys are always interested in that. But as we follow these cases, let me know. Okay, let's get over here. This is another update. This is an update from yesterday. So they're adding additional charges because once they got to the second child, there were signs of abuse also. So I fast forwarded a little bit because they were setting up the scene and setting up the mics, but this is the detective that we've gotten to know who has been front and center giving the updates. So let's get into it.
I'm not gonna be in it. I'm gonna be doing
The live video. Let me get out of your way. On live. You're good? Okay. And is anyone live? Okay. On the web, yes. Okay. And then let me know when you're ready.
Everyone good? I'm ready. Thumbs up, yes.
Everyone good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for coming. My name's Detective Courtney Sullivan. I'm a detective here with Tavares Police Department. I'm joined here with our lieutenant over the Criminal Investigations Division. We as a group have been working diligently in this case. Here at our department, we wanted to provide the community with an update on our child abuse investigation that began February 22nd, 2025. Detectives have conducted numerous interviews and collected several pieces of evidence, and through this process, it has been revealed that there is more than one victim in this case. The younger brother in this case was also a victim of aggravated child abuse and child neglect. We will not go into details on what took place in the residence due to maintaining the integrity of the case. Kimberley Mills was methodical in what her children wore and what they said to others to ensure that absolutely no one would learn of what she was doing to her children behind closed doors. That being said, all fingers should be pointed in one direction, at Kimberley Mills and Andre Walker, who participated together in hurting these children. Earlier this morning, we added additional charges on both Kimberley Mills and Andre Walker. For Kimberley Mills, she has been charged in total with the following: 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, 2 counts of child neglect, 2 counts of accessory to aggravated child abuse, 1 count of tampering with evidence. For Andre Walker, he has been charged in total with the following: 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, 2 counts of accessory to aggravated child abuse, 1 count of tampering with evidence. The 10-year-old boy remains in critical condition at the hospital. We are preparing for the worst. However, we are hoping for the best in terms of his recovery. We are working closely with the state attorney's office to ensure these 2 boys get the justice that they deserve. We commend our department as a whole, as every member has stepped up to assist in some way with this case. We ask that you continue to pray for these 2 boys, their father, and the rest of their family as they navigate this extremely difficult time. We have posted a link on our Facebook for others to donate, and we are also accepting gift card donations that will be given directly to the family. At this point, I will take any questions.
Can you talk about the kind of abuse that the 9-year-old had suffered? Was it similar to the abuse that the 10-year-old had, and any details that you could share on that?
I can't go into too much detail. However, we believe that they suffered very similar abuse, and that's why they were both charged, or both parties were charged with 2 counts of aggravated child abuse.
Can you explain the family dynamic? Were these long-term parents? Were they recently in the picture? Do you know how long this abuse had taken place?
Sure. So right now, we've determined that Kimberley Mills and Andre Walker are in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. We believe that has been approximately 2 months. It's possible that it could be a little bit longer than that. Unsure of when the abuse started. However, it's leaning more towards that it was a recent period of time.
Can you believe she started dating this guy 2 months ago and already had him in the mist exposed to her kids? But I mean, she might have been doing stuff anyway with or without him. She just may have met an aggravator, somebody to kind of, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you meet the Bonnie to your Clyde, right? Not I like I said, she could have been doing stuff all along. We really don't know, but you know, she obviously met the right one who amped it up a notch or brought it to the forefront, obviously. But yeah, so they said it sounds like they've only been together and people are quick about moving people. Like, have we not seen this? Or have we not seen these people who will move someone in the blink of an eye and then have them all in front of their kids, mom's boyfriend, or, you know, mom's girlfriend, dad's boyfriend, dad's girlfriend. I mean, it's awful, right? Um, I mean, I cannot imagine how these kids must feel when mom gets a new boo. Like, what's getting ready to happen here?
So 2 months that they were dating and not sure how long the abuse had been going on.
Unsure about how long the abuse has gone. However, we believe maybe about 2 months. It could be longer. We're still trying to dig further to figure that out.
You said that she was very meticulous in the clothes she put on them. Explain that.
So when the kids would go to school, they would wear longer sleeve shirts to cover up any marks. She ensured that they told absolutely no one. These kids were scared, and she made sure that absolutely no one would find out about it.
And I was going to say, that was one of the questions I was asked. Did they go to school? They went to school.
Yes, they went to school.
And teachers didn't report this because?
They didn't report it because they had no idea something was going on. Again, Kimberley Mills made absolute certainty, made sure that these kids were not going to tell teachers and that no one would find out. So
was she the one that worked, like you talked about the two different suspects in this case? She was the one that drove this and orchestrated it, is your understanding?
They both participated completely.
Have they been in the care of Kimberley their entire lives? And does it seem like the abuse started when the boyfriend and her got together?
So that's something that we're still trying to navigate through. I definitely believe that we'll have further information in that with time.
But she was the primary caretaker for them.
They lived with mom. Dad lives out of state.
Can you explain the tampering with evidence charge?
So we believe that whenever they left the hospital, they went back to the residence to try to do a hasty cleanup. I'm happy to say that they did a really bad job because we were able to obtain several pieces of evidence that will definitely assist our case.
They said, so sad that the report said it looked like something hot had been put on the 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know what that was to cause burn marks?
So we're not going to discuss any pieces of evidence that we collected.
What school did the 10-year-old go to?
Not disclosing that.
Okay.
You talked about wanting to get the justice that they deserve.
Right.
Working with the state attorney's office.
Mm-hmm.
This case is so horrific. You know, why has that been so important for your investigators, detectives? And I know you guys have been working really hard on this case,
mm-hmm.
especially seeing the circumstances here.
So we all become police officers to help the community, right? As detectives, we look for convictions. We don't look just to charge someone with something. We put an entire case together to piece it together to ensure that the people that we put in jail stay in jail. This case is especially sensitive because it's kids. Don't mess with kids, period. As parents, we will make sure that we will do whatever it takes to keep our children safe. But because we're also parents, any other child, we will try to do our best to keep them safe. And that's our job.
You're just saying that she's a registered nurse?
Yes, we discovered that she's also a registered nurse. We have not been able to figure out exactly where she works or if she is still currently working as a registered nurse.
I'm just, this is blowing everyone's minds.
Mm-hmm.
possibly were they coming from? A mother participating in this kind of abuse, allowing her boyfriend to do this kind of, just your thoughts.
My thoughts, I can't quite piece it together. Again, as a mother and a decent human being, I would like to think, no one can piece that part together. I think it's a perfect representation of the kind of people that they are, and I think they are exactly where they need to be, and I hope that they remain there. Our agency is doing everything we can to make sure that they stay there. I'll take 2 more questions.
So to follow up on that, I noticed in Kimberley.
Thank you. Hey, girl. Hey. Thank you.
To you guys a little bit, are either of them cooperating? Are they giving you any information?
Neither of them are cooperating. They both opted to not speak with us.
Do you find it unusual for, these kids are 9 and 10, she's only been with this guy for 2 months. That's pretty severe treatment over those 2 months. For her to, if that's only started in the last 2 months, doesn't it seem that she would have some sort of reaction or want to help in the case if that's not her normal type of activity? Does that tell you something about maybe what
You would think that any mother would not allow that kind of activity. So who knows, maybe this occurred before he was in the picture. That's something that we're going to discover, I think, throughout our investigation.
I just think the turn the blind eye mom is starting to be exposed. I mean, we've been seeing that. They've been exposed, but they're being more exposed now. The turning of the blind eye because the abuse is ramping up a notch. And once it gets to the, oh shit, let's go find a doctor because we've taken it too far type stuff. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. This is almost done.
But I think it also clears a really perfect picture of the kind of person that she is. No mother would allow this to happen.
Can I ask a question of both of you? I saw in an early interview that this case brought many folks to tears.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that is difficult. I mean, our detective division is small. We have 3 detectives and our lieutenant. So we work closely with one another. We're human. And unfortunately, I had a moment and it happened to be in front of all the cameras. Not my shining moment, but
I didn't have a problem with her getting emotional. I mean, I'd rather have law enforcement not be robots. So we've seen men on here get choked up. Why is it? I mean, I'm going to the female reporter. I just want to know when a male captain, detective, sergeant gets choked up, are you asking him why he's getting choked up? He's getting choked up because this is some mess. This, you know what I'm saying? Like this, we need to stop trying to be robotic. If that's what you feel. I mean, obviously she held it together, but she had a little something in her voice and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like I think it just lends to the severity of the situation and that the person who is delivering you the news is not a robot. Okay. Because AI is not going to, until we train AI when it's appropriate to turn on the tears and the emotion, that is something that is unique about us and not the robots.
I mean, I think it's a perfect representation for absolutely everyone to see that us police officers are human. We're parents, we're human, and we just do what we can. So
no apologies necessary.
Thank you.
Could you answer that question?
No. Sorry, just one more thing. I know the real dad is here now.
Right.
Do you know how they're doing? I know obviously the 10-year-old's in critical condition, but father and the 9-year-old.
I can't imagine what dad is going through to have just learned that this was going on and now his son is in critical condition. I don't want to be in his shoes. However, he's doing what he needs to do to ensure that they are taken care of and that he's making all the best decisions for them. Our community has
right. It's like ask one of these male sheriffs next time they get choked up. They get choked up because it's like shoveling sand at the beach. I mean, you try to do as much good as you possibly can. You know, officers aren't always perfect, but at the end of the day, they are there to do good and do no harm. And I'm sure it's quite frustrating to see people in the community that you show up for to serve and protect and hope that people are just wanting to have their best life. Isn't that what everybody wants in the community, is their best life? And you see someone doing something so senseless, especially to a innocent person, be it a child, you know, just someone living their best life, and someone just decides to make someone into a victim, and then take it up a notch. It's the mother, it's the father, it's the this, it's the that. Then it's the take it up a notch. It's not just a beating. It's this, it's that. It's horrible. You know what I mean? It just always seems to ratchet up a notch. I can only imagine being in these type of jobs, especially working in the emergency room. They see a lot of stuff.
Has already started to try to pull together to figure out ways that they can help. We're working closely with the Tavares Police Charity to raise funds for the family. Additionally, we're accepting gift cards on the family's behalf so just clothes even. The little boy doesn't have any clothes right now. We recently were able to get out and get them some clothing. Dad flew down here in a rush, didn't pack a bag, so we also were having to get him some clothing. So I think gift cards would help. I posted on our Facebook page today a direct link that goes to our charity, and all of those funds will go towards the family.
Neither of these boys had clothes.
They had clothes within the house.
That lady needs to get kicked out of the conference room. That reporter, ma'am needs, they didn't have clothes. Ma'am, first of all, the house is a crime scene. Duh. Like, how are you a reporter and can't put two and two together? The house is still a crime scene. It's like, come on.
As a crime scene. So
where does this case go from here? Are there still unanswered questions? Are you, as of right now, just waiting on the boy's condition? What's ahead?
So naturally, we want to see where the boy's condition is going to go. We are, again, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. From here, we're going to dive into all the evidence that we have, and we're going to just streamline this to the best of our ability to make sure they stay where they are right now. But we're working hard. If we have to add more charges because more information comes about, we will happily do so. I'm going to take one more question.
There's a new law passed that puts the death penalty in play if it's a child rape case. Could this be in play?
So at this point, give me 1 second. So because our victim is still in critical condition, we have not been able to disclose any details regarding the sexual abuse. Because of his condition, there's certain physical examinations that cannot be performed. So we cannot definitively say if it occurred, but if it has occurred, once we are able to do those examinations, naturally those charges will be brought to. I do appreciate you all coming. Thank you so much. And we'll keep you posted on anything else. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah. All right, guys, one more. Okay. I was shocked. I was shocked again, but I'm not, because these people are being exposed. This is Leanisha Broom, and she is on Facebook. You can just look it up right like that. Okay. Ma'am was arrested in Shreveport, Louisiana. And rest assured, guys, I will come back on some key later. Okay. I will come back on some key later, but my news desk was piling up, and I wanted to bring you guys some awareness, because these will be some cases that we're going to follow. Okay. So we may as well go ahead and get them in while we can fit them in. And that way, once the cases start hitting and things start happening, the video, like, you already know what's going on. Okay. But we need to provide some awareness, because there's ignorant people out here that don't know that some of the things that they're doing are not correct, right? And people are watching. This is a story. This one, at least, is one where the neighbors were watching, and girl, they were looking and they were calling and reporting. Okay. This is good. If you see somebody single who lives at home, you know, they got kids and they're backing out the driveway, and you don't see the posse of kids coming out, baby, there's a problem, right? There's a problem. Shreveport police are reporting a mother arrested after abandoning 5 young children. Shreveport police have arrested Leanisha Broom after she repeatedly abandoned her 5 small children, leaving them home alone with no regard to their safety. On February 15, 2025, officers were called to the home on Virginia Avenue after a concerned family member reported that Broom was nowhere to be found and had not answered calls. Investigators discovered that she had not been to work in 2 days. Yes, Sonia. Okay. 2 days. That's not the reason to report. They didn't go to work. Let me get back to serious. On February 15th, officers were called to the home on Virginia Avenue after a concerned family member reported that Broom was nowhere to be found and had not answered calls. Investigators discovered that she had not been to work in 2 days and had not stayed with her children since February 13th. A 6-year-old child told officers that Broom had briefly stopped by that morning to drop off a McDonald's biscuit before leaving again. She never returned. Further investigation revealed that Broom had active warrants for 3 counts of child desertion from 23 and 21. Instead of taking responsibility, she continued to neglect her children, leaving them alone and defenseless. On February 17th, Shreveport police tracked her down and arrested her. In addition to her existing charges, she now faces 5 counts of child desertion for the latest act of shocking neglect. This is unacceptable. No child should ever be put in this situation. The Shreveport Police Department is committed to holding parents accountable and ensuring children are protected. Okay. Let's see what the article said. I was just reading from the Shreveport Police Department. Shreveport, Louisiana. You can see this right here. 5 children ages 6, 4, 3, 1, and 5 months were left alone at home for days, leading to their mother's arrest Monday, and Shreveport police said today. Leanisha Broom was already wanted on warrants charging her with child desertion from a couple of years ago. She now faces 5 more counts. So she had warrants she never faced, right? Shreveport police, so she shouldn't get a bond. If she was already derelict in showing up to the other counts in 2023 and 2021, now she's got 5 in 2025. Ma'am, she needs to be held back. She needs to be a remand, okay? Shreveport Police Youth Services detectives got involved in the case after officers were dispatched to the 5500 block of Virginia Avenue on Saturday morning. The family member reported not being able to reach Broom by phone and she could not be found. Their concern was for the 5 children. Detectives learned Broom had been at her home or had not been at her home or work since Thursday. The eldest child, 6 years old, told officers Broom stopped by briefly that morning to drop off a breakfast biscuit from McDonald's before leaving. A breakfast biscuit, not some. Broom had active bench warrants for 3 counts of child desertion in 23, an additional count in 21. In 21, she probably just had that one, the 6-year-old, or maybe the 4-year-old. Okay. She didn't have as many kids. And then 23, girl, she's a mess. She keeps having kids. So 6, 4, 3, the one that's 1's probably getting ready to be 2. And then she's got one that's 5 months old. So she's got stair steps. Okay. She's having back-to-back children. Broom had active warrants. The U.S. Marshals attempted to arrest Broom Thursday, but she had not returned home. Girl, they are on that ass. The U.S. Marshals came to get her. Okay. Due to the circumstances, Child Protective Services were notified and placed the children in the custody of the family member pending further investigation. Broom was found Monday and arrested on the current charges and outstanding warrants. So let's just say this is a good thing because they were found. Smith, had you heard about this story? Smith, you're from Shreveport. Do you still live in Shreveport? This is a good thing because they were found before there's a death. I mean, a 6-year-old minding all the kids. She left a 5-month-old. She dropped off a biscuit. Where's the milk coming from? You got a 5-month-old. You got a 1-year-old. 3-year-olds can eat solids, but a 1-year-old and you got a 6-year-old possibly feeding the 1-year-old, that's a choking hazard. What's a 5-month-old getting? Water? What's going on? A mess, right? So it's a good thing ma'am was caught.
Shreveport, Louisiana. 5 children, ages 6, 4, 3, 1, and 5 months, were left alone at home for days, leading to their mother's arrest Monday, Shreveport police said today. Leanisha Broom was already wanted on warrants charging her with child desertion from a couple of years ago. She now faces 5 more counts. Shreveport Police Youth Services detectives got involved in the case after officers were dispatched to the 5500 block of Virginia Avenue on Saturday morning. A family member reported not being able to reach Broom by phone, and she could not be found. Their concern was for her 5 young children. Detectives learned Broom had not been at her home or at work since Thursday. The eldest child, a 6-year-old, told officers Broom stopped by briefly that morning to drop off a breakfast biscuit from McDonald's before leaving again. Broom had active bench warrants for 3 counts of child desertion from 2023 and an additional count from 2021. The U.S. Marshals attempted to arrest Broom Thursday, but she had not returned home. Due to the circumstances, Child Protective Services was notified and placed the children in the custody of a family member pending further investigation. Broom was found Monday and arrested on the current charges and outstanding warrants.
Bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. Okay. That's her Facebook. Okay. Girl, she says, I am creating my own positive energy. Okay. Okay, sis. Where are your kids? Did you even know? I think that's just the one picture. Look at ma'am. No bra. Girl. You got lashes and a wig laid down, but your kids are getting potential. I mean, it could have been, she could have dropped off all the biscuits. I don't know. But the news said specifically a biscuit. Okay. And there's a 5-month-old and a 1-year-old that need oatmeal and grits and eggs and, a bottle, warm milk. You got a 5-month-old that needs breast milk or formula. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Depending on the age of the 1-year-old, could probably eat with the big kids. If it's a 1-year-old, because there's a difference between a 12, 13, 14-month-old and someone who's getting ready to be 2. However, they still have different needs from the older kids, right? The 5-month-old, that just goes without saying. They're straight bottle. They have no teeth. They have nothing. And she left a 6-year-old to mind after a 4, 3, 1, and 5 month. She needs, I'm sorry. I don't, you know what I'm saying? She needs to be silly slap. I'm sorry. She really does. So her family, her mama, her whoever called in, they need to get 5 minutes with her. And they absolutely did the right thing. Thank goodness law enforcement listened, got over there. Because we've seen how it's gone with, with Nazaya and all these other cases where family have called in and then nothing has been done. But you got a 6-year-old. It was bad enough a couple of weeks ago. We heard about Kelly Bryant leaving the 15 and the 12 and the 13. And we were shocked at that. Just imagine a 6-year-old girl, a whole first grader. Probably, I mean, obviously not going to school. 6 years old, no school. The 4-year-old probably wasn't in school yet. If she didn't have the 6-year-old going anywhere, the 4-year-old, was stuck, like, not going anywhere. So these kids probably don't have any skills. The 6-year, can you believe it? A mess, right? So this is her. This is ma'am. That's Leanisha Broom, okay? That's Miss Ma'am over there living her best life with her strawberry blonde wig and her extra long lashes and no bra and some saggy boobs, trying to look cute. But there is nothing cute about leaving 5 kids home alone, and baby, it's not giving. It's not giving at all. Okay. Yeah, y'all, when I come back later, it'll be on some tonight. More than likely, this evening we'll be on some kikis. Okay, I just didn't want to bring the kikis. I didn't want to bring this tonight. I do want to talk about the RICO lawsuit. It's not criminal charges yet on Christian. I do know about it. I got caught up yesterday. I couldn't come talk to you guys about it. I'm sure you've heard about it. Christian is getting sued. So if you go over to I always keep want to say Dr. Simone, but she is a Juris Doctor. Our good sis girl, Is That Legal? Read the TT the other day. We know that she has been taking affidavits from victims, and she actually posted a packet of complaints when he had his first probation revocation over the summer. So that's when we'd heard about the people who are alleging that he has defrauded them, right? So we'll talk about some Christian tonight. I've got some additional information to talk to you guys about. If there's any potential victims out there, I encourage you to go over to Simone's channel and get the details, because there is a lawyer who is still accepting cases. One of the victims reached out to me and gave me some additional information regarding the contact information. So we'll talk about all of that tonight. But yeah, Christian's got some problemos, okay? Mr. Christian Walden, Jennifer's husband, okay, as we call him over here. Oh, Jennifer's husband got some problems. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll maybe get into some Nestow, some things like that. So I'll have some kikis and things for you guys a little bit later, but I wanted to get into this because, we like to cover the true crime, and this is some current stuff happening. I do also still want to talk to you about, is it Hannah Cobb? We definitely need to talk Hannah Cobb. She allegedly was cleaning her gun and accidentally shot her boo thing. Now, the thing about this is that this is a very, hold on, they're on, girl, go find my Facebook, okay? I have everything on my Facebook, but Hannah Cobb says she accidentally shot her boo thing, TEVIN Osborne, cleaning her gun. It took a minute for her to be arrested, but the receipts are not receipting, and she has now been arrested. Thank you for supporting. Okay, hey girl, hey, it's Jay and Reef and Muff's mom. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate y'all looking out for your girl. Thank you. We'll get into, maybe we'll do that one tonight, okay? I do, maybe, or tomorrow, because I need to put a bunch of stuff together. I've been collecting information, warrants, arrest affidavits, stuff like that. So that could end up being like a whole thing. But it's you might have seen this couple. He is on, let me find it. Oh wait, do I have it pulled up? This is a very kind of, this couple takes nice pictures. They're kind of, this man is a good looking guy, and they have an aesthetic. They take nice pictures. They're kind of, giving kind of like that country aesthetic a little bit, with the cowboy jeans and cowboy boots and jeans and all the things. And, they just, they make a nice looking couple. And I think that it's very unfortunate. I think people are pissed at how long it took for ma'am to be charged. But allegedly, I'll just give you a little backstory. Allegedly, they were at the club. She got mad because I guess he was looking at a couple of sisses, some black females, and I guess she felt away. And I guess they got into this is what's been alleged, that they got into an argument, and lo and behold, sir got shot and he succumbed to his injury. Okay. We'll talk more about it, but they're giving her right now felony manslaughter, felony involuntary manslaughter. But, you know, that can always get upgraded. You know, we don't want to overcharge and people get off with an overcharge. So if it's felony involuntary, so maybe some negligence in what you were doing, and then the discharging, I don't know. We're going to see how this goes, but we'll talk more about it. But ma'am, and I'll pull up the Facebook. I had the Facebook and stuff pulled up, but I don't see it right now. So yeah, we'll have to get to that later. But yeah, the family and everything is talking bad situation. But she was charged in Burke County. Burke County woman has been charged with involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of TEVIN Osborne. Sheriff Alonzo Williams said the shooting happened after a violent fight and a night of drinking. Okay. Where have we heard this before? Okay. This seems to be story du jour. Okay. This seems to be just what happens when someone insecure is with somebody they feel like they want to control but can't. And, you know, okay, this seems to be a some commonalities here, but we'll get back to that. So I'll get my list together and we'll talk about all of this tonight and into tomorrow. Okay. This is we're not fighting. I'm not an activist. I'm just telling you guys a story, baby. The family has the nerve to be madder at Black women instead of the women who took it. I don't know. I'm not into that part. I'm just telling the story. I don't really care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not into it like that. It's just the overarching. Okay. The down deep into the social matters of it all is not really, that's not my bag. Yeah, we're just telling the story, y'all. It's okay. Okay. If he felt some type of way about his community, then I mean, maybe we're not his community. Maybe his community is where he was at. Maybe that's how he felt. I don't even know, hun. I don't know. I was going into the police matter of it all. As far as any kind of sociology or some problems that sis was having or he was having, I can't really tell y'all about that. So it's a current event. That's it. We're not getting into the muck and the mire of it all. Anyway, guys, we don't even, she just got arrested. So that's why we keep our eyes on cases, you know. That's why we keep our eyes on things, right? So she just got arrested, and this is just another situation where, like I said, you've got somebody who may want to control someone and can't, and they make a bad decision. As far as preferences and rejection of communities and all the drama, how long did it take to arrest her? We'll get into that later. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're right at 2 hours. I will get back to y'all. Y'all can look it up. Hannah Cobb, okay, Burke County. So y'all can go ahead and get into that or not. You guys, I will see you guys a little bit later. Like I said, on some kikis, some more, you know, a little bit more lighthearted. Okay. All right, guys, this was so much fun. I'm glad we had a chance to talk and get caught up with what's going on. It's really unfortunate that these stories exist, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to bring them to you. I watched it and I did the research so you don't have to. Okay. Okay. Hit the thumbs up for me. And any of these situations, you can look at the title and you can plug in any of these names and information will just pop right on up for you. Okay. So just get caught up. I can't wait for the key. See you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys. Okay, guys, I'm going to let y'all have a wonderful day because I am. Okay, I'm going to have a good one. I hope you guys do too. I will see y'all later. All right, take care.